Aside from the front-mounted aperture ring, Canon's normal LTM lenses look a bit like they belong on small SLRs. They are tubular, often fluted, and smaller in fact than a number of current Leica lenses. Next to their SLR counterparts, they are mere children. Canon's chromier LTM lenses have suitably heavy and smooth helicoids. The 35-2's focus and cam helicoids are light and full of wiggle room. Precise focusing, especially in live or magnified views, is troublesome, though through a rangefinder it's no bother. And let's be honest, this lens belongs on an M or some other type of rangefinder. Breezily easy and wiggly focus portends other faults. Aperture detents click heavily but indistinctly, almost reluctant to find their niches. When they do, their 9 aperture blades make wondrous shapes, curving inward from f4 to f8. Because this is an LTM lens, it needs an M39 to M shim for use on a Leica M. I use Fauxtaku's excellent 35, 135, M39 to M shim to fit this lens to a helicoid adapter on an X Pro 1. These adapters drop minimum focus distance from a meter down to about 30 centimeters. And together, the combo is smaller than the X Pro 1 and X35 lens combination. It also focuses as closely as good floating element 35 lenses. Metal alone does not denote quality construction. To its credit, this lens is decades older than you or me and has survived a bunch of ugly wars. It's a chunky gem, but as metal lenses go, it's a wimp. Tolerances are poor, focus feel is loose, and even the paint quality is several steps below that of competing Nikkor and Leica lenses of the time. All that said, treated well, the 35-2 should last. Its lens coatings are strong and its glass isn't prone to smudges or cracks. Its recessed front element dekes out fingerprints. Keeping it clean is rather easy. In the 50s, after World War II, Japan was in a shambles, but their camera industry rode a wave of wholesale patents lifted essentially from Germany, whose decision to go it alone against the banksters incurred a much higher loser's price. It shoots well, but despite being called a Japanese Summicron, it has the build quality of a quick Chinese copy. If you like flare, this lens will please you. It returns bright runes encased in natural circles wide open, and those colors stay naturally warm and sunny. Stopped down, the 35-2 LTM's inwardly curved aperture blades effect more unique shapes. The hood does little to protect the lens from the ingress of sun when shot at acute angles, but pointed light sources from the side rarely seriously flare. Its 9 aperture blades return pointed and 18-armed sun stars. But because the 35-2's aperture blades are less precise than most Leica lenses, star points aren't always symmetrical and sometimes you get blobs off to the side. Wide open, the Canon 35-2 is about as sharp in the center as any number of modern fast normals. Corners fall off rather fast on the M9 and darker on the X Pro 1. On film, that fall off is much softer. Prior to removing chromatic aberrations, skin glides from detail to detail. Every blemish is visible, but not one is really advertised. Areas slightly out of focus will glow faintly, stop down, and of course the good, the bad, and ugly will pop out. From f6 on, the corners are sharp and contrasty. Distortion, which bulges out from the center, isn't major, nor was my distortion test majorly clever. Still, I see a bit of it both on the small sensor of an X Pro 1, as well as larger Leica M9. More than anything, I love this lens's colors. They are ruddy and muted in comparison to modern lenses. Reds and browns share similar strong rust-colored palettes. Outside, this combination of rust and old optic contrast is endearing and addictive. The 35-2's palette warms up rainy days and softens super hard shadows. Next to Leica's Zumilux 35 1.4 to spherical, the Canon is warmer, reading summer and spring into every image it helps capture. Canon's 35-2 draws out of focus areas very like the famed Summicron 35 version 4. Near backgrounds retain shape, trending toward tubular stripes, and are drawn out, lined, and painterly. Backgrounds go swirly, but not heliocentripetally. Highlight edges show soft outlines, mixed backgrounds and foreground elements basically speckle with bright highlights and dappled colors that can dizzily pull you in. Near-distant nature photographers will find very specific uses for this look. City photographers will find that their subjects jump into shape, highlighted by the unique bokeh and corner fall off. There are smoother bokehs out there. There are blurrier bokehs out there. But few bokeh out there exist that are as addictive and this worth of coming back to. Of course, that look changes rather distinctly between APS-C and full frame or 35 film. The X-Pro's colors and effective crop turn this lens into a very beautiful, very compact 53mm f2.8 lens, or its equivalent. Distortion through an APS sensor is negligible, colors are beautiful, but most of all this lens's unique bokeh further stands it out from the pack. The combination of all these elements makes for the most addictive draw I've seen in a normal lens on an APS-C system, bar none. Mounted to an X-Pro 1, the Canon is warmer and about as sharp, or almost as sharp, at wide apertures as a Zumilux 50 1.4 pre-aspherical is on something like an M9. Of course, the X-Pro 1/Canon 35-2 LTM combo is much smaller and lighter than is the M9 and Zumilux 50. The biggest downside to the X-Pro 1 combination is the X-Pro 1, which is light years behind even the cheapest of SLRs and rangefinders for using with manual lenses. It isn't just its low-resolution EVF that makes accurate focusing difficult. It is its on-again, off-again responsiveness to 10 times and 3 times magnification buttons. It is its shutter and EVF lag trail. It is a drag to use, but using it returns beautiful images. But unless you have all the time in the world and your subjects are worlds of patience in themselves, the X-Pro 1, at least at the time of writing, had only 2 redeeming qualities for use with this Canon lens: smart looks and amazing color rendition. Because the Canon P is a well-made beast of a camera, I had expectations that the 35-2 LTM would similarly be a beast, or at least a craftsman's jewel. It isn't. I want to blame erstwhile reviewers. Perhaps they had seen too much plastic in their day and they just recommended this thing because it was metal. Perhaps metal of any quality felt refreshing to them. The Canon 35-2 LTM is loose and imprecise. Against compact mechanical benchmark lenses such as Leica's Elmara 28 2.8 spherical or Nikon's 28 2.8 AIS, the Canon falls flat. Where it redeems itself, however, few lenses are able to tread. When stopped down to f5.6 or so, contrast and sharpness spread evenly across the frame, and few 35mm lenses get as sharp or sharper at f8 on APS-C. X and other APS-C camera owners are in for a great treat as long as their cameras are responsive. At the prices this lens goes for on the Bay and Yahoo auction, there exist more effective normal lenses out there, but few are as addictive or return such unique quality to an exposure. And for 135 film and full frame shooters who value the 35mm focal length, this lens is worthy of serious consideration. Just don't expect it to hold up in the corners to the latest competition. Anyway guys, thank you very much for tuning in. If you'd like to leave a comment, please do, and a thumbs up or 2 thumbs down. You can also subscribe on Twitter. You can subscribe on BitChute, mine's Gab, and I got a Patreon again, haven't been touching it. Probably got no subscribers left. Gotta work on that. You can also buy a hat, 20 bucks shipped to you. It's drawn by me with a note, got a serial number. It's from my heart to yours, baby. It ain't going through an online shop. Although I do have an online shop as well, so you can check that as well. Links in the description. See you later. Bye.